Did you know that Malaysia is such a diverse country because each state is different, and therefore each Malaysian that comes from the different states are also different with different lifestyles, incomes and whatnot. And in today's video, this is exactly what we will explore. In my previous last two videos about Malaysia, I broke down whether the T20s are really rich in Malaysia and whether the M40s are actually sliding backwards into the B40 category. So today's video, we will explore Peninsular Malaysia, the different states and how each state churns out different Malaysians with different lifestyles and income. Hi, my name is Fran, one half of the corporate breakout couple, and welcome to our channel. So to give you a background for those of you who don't know me, I'm Malaysian, worked and lived in Singapore for 13 years, and now I'm currently back with my husband John, living in the beautiful island of Penang. We would appreciate it very much if you like, share and subscribe to our channel. When I first worked in Singapore 13 years ago, my then new colleagues asked me, "Hey Frank, your command of English is pretty good. How come?" Because they were not used to mixing with Malaysians with a good command of English. When I first heard that, I was actually rather surprised and taken aback because this was new information for me. Alright, so living in Penang, my circle of friends, my ex-colleagues back in Dell, we all spoke English and my family spoke English as well. In fact, I even dare say that for some of us, English was the first spoken language in our household. So that got me thinking, right, like, wow, Malaysia truly is a very diverse country because depending on which state you're currently in, you'll be able to hear different dialects and languages. Of course, Bahasa Malaysia for one, for sure. And then you've got Cantonese, English, Hokkien, Mandarin, Tamil, and Bahasa Malaysia itself also has got different slangs depending on which state you're from. And don't get me even started on food, right? Because Malaysia is so diverse that the food is as well. Different states has got their own food delicacies, and of course each local will say that their state and their food is the best. Of course, Penang one, the best! So let's go back to the reason why I say that each state will churn out a different lifestyle and income for the Malaysian living there. Okay, let's go! As a whole, Malaysia is a federation of 13 states and 3 federal territories, which is the entire east and west of Malaysia. But for today's video, we're focusing only on the west, which is Peninsular Malaysia. Because Malaysia is so blessed with natural resources, each state actually has got its own role and function. For example, oil and gas, agricultural, tourism, and fishing. This is the monthly household gross income by state and percentile for Malaysia. And if you look at the 50th percentile right here, you'll see that the income by the different states does vary by quite a bit. John and I, we've been spending 1.5 years traveling around Malaysia, among other countries as well, but we focus a lot on Malaysia the last 1.5 years, and it's very interesting that the moment we cross the border into a different state, the landscape changes and also the different state offering changes. For example, when we drive from Penang into Kedah, immediately the scenery changes into large paddy fields, so beautiful. Then you've got hills at the horizons. And because Kedah has got a lot agricultural and they produce a lot of rice, the rice in Kedah is absolutely delicious. Kedah therefore is very big on agriculture, so is Kelantan and Perak. So the main income streams for the state is from there. If we head into the state of Terengganu, that's where you'll find a lot of oil and gas, agricultural as well as fishing. What about palm oil? Malaysia is very famous for palm oil, and that's where you can get it in Pahang as well as in Johor. Johor itself is a huge state, so apart from palm oil, they are also very big on manufacturing and construction. There's lots of factories at Padang Besar where a lot of Malaysians go to work. The state of Selangor has a lot of car manufacturing plants because, as you know, Malaysia makes their own cars, right? Perodua, Proton, Naza. And speaking of manufacturing, Penang Island as well as mainland has a lot of factories because Penang Island has free trade zones and there's a lot of branded companies there, S&P 500 companies, all making their home on the island. Speaking of Penang, Penang is huge on tourism, so is Malacca as well as KL. So that's where a lot of dollars are generated for the states. And let's not forget about the government. Where do all the government agencies sit? Of course, they're in KL, so they all sit in the Putrajaya and Wilayah Persekutuan. Don't forget your banking and IT. So IT usually sits in Cyberjaya. Banking can be found in KL itself as well as Penang. So why am I sharing all this? Well, because the Malaysians working in the different states, in the different industry, in the different occupation will have different incomes and of course most likely different lifestyles as well. For example, a Malaysian working as a VP in a bank in KL will obviously have a different lifestyle and income compared to, let's say, an oil plantation manager working in Pahang. Apart from the income disparity, this banker will also have a very different lifestyle because weekends will be spent, going for cafes, brunches, shopping at big, huge malls, as well as spending on probably branded goods and going home to a condo or a large landed house. On the other hand, the palm oil plantation manager will be living a very different lifestyle, isn't it? He'll be living in a house somewhere deep in a rural area because that's where the plantation is, and the only thing around him would be small town amenities. In Malaysia, the cost of living definitely differs from state to state. Let's use the example of food, shall we? The other day, John and we went to Langkawi and we stopped by Kedah to eat 2 packets of nasi kandar. Each packet was exactly the same, containing fried chicken, a bit of beef rendang, egg and vegetables. Coming back to Penang, I excitedly asked my mom, "Hey mom, can you guess how much 2 packets of nasi kandar cost in Kedah?" And her reply was, probably ringgit Malaysia 30. And I said, no, it was ringgit Malaysia 15 for 2 packets, and she was just so astonished because in Penang, nasi kandar for the same ingredients, it will be easily 15 to 18 ringgit per packet. And then if you take the same packet of food and you put it into KL, it will also be more expensive. And if you take it into Johor Bahru, thanks to Singaporeans for hiking up the price, it will also be just as costly. Let's talk about housing. A double-story terrace house in Penang nowadays can be pretty expensive because Penang Island is small, land is scarce. So you're talking about maybe a house costing 800 to even 1 million ringgit and above for a house. But the same house can cost half of that in Kedah, Terengganu and Perak. So as you can see, the disparity of cost of living and standard of living in Malaysia can be quite big. But whereas for a small country like Singapore, if you're living in a HDB or a condo, your next door neighbor's standard of living and lifestyle may not differ as much. Let's talk about the big cities, right? Like KL and Selangor and Penang. So most of the people in those states are actually corporate employees working for the big organizations. And the moment you're there, you find that you're already caught up in the never-ending cycle of the rat race because you have to either upkeep your lifestyle, you have to continuously to climb the corporate ladder, as well as keeping up with the Joneses. As a corporate employee, your worldview just gets narrower and narrower, smaller and smaller, as you can only focus on your current organization and the work environment. As someone caught up in a never-ending cycle of the rat race, it's always about doing this, completing this task, rushing here, rushing there, meetings. There's hardly any time to breathe and even much less take a step back to kind of evaluate, is this what you really want to do in life? A lot of Malaysians from other states actually move to KL for better opportunities and higher salaries. And they may actually not enjoy KL or living KL as much, but they are stuck there because the moment they move back to their hometown or their home state, there's no way they'll be able to command that level of salary. And as everyone knows, living in a big city, of course, will come with higher salaries, but it also comes with higher stress, higher expectations to perform, as well as higher cost of living. On the other hand, if you look at the other smaller states, there's actually more self-employment rather than employees. For example, farmers, small-time business owners, and service people. Even the employees employed in government departments in the small towns enjoy a better work-life balance. They clock out at 5, they don't bring their work home, and they're free to enjoy their life. When John and I were in Kedah or even in Langkawi, we noticed that the way of life there is simple and slow-paced. The way of life there is more chill, slow-paced, and definitely a much lower cost of living. Most of the locals live in a kampong house, they drive an older, locally produced car, and they have a lot of time on their hands to actually lepak, which means hang out with your friends at the local coffee shops or even mamas at night. It sounds great, isn't it? That kind of life. However, the danger is that they are very much into their comfort zone, and most of them actually fall into the B40 group in Malaysia. Unfortunately, the problem with that is that they rely heavily on government subsidies, and it's kind of like they're living in a time warp where there's no progress for years and years, even as the world progresses. Bottom line is, Malaysia is a very large country, so there isn't a one-size-fits-all when it comes to income and lifestyle for Malaysians. As you can see, there are actually many factors in play, but most importantly, do not stay in your comfort zone because it's a surefire way of guaranteed of you being stuck where you are, and you'll definitely get left behind. At the end of the day, Malaysia is a beautiful country filled with natural resources and lots of opportunities. And if you happen to be not happy where you're at, remember there's a lot of opportunities for you to grab, and you can always make a choice to do so. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully it has opened your eyes to the different offerings in Malaysia. Remember to like this video, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Bye! Do you know we have an awesome community of like-minded people who want to win in life called the Breakout community? Click on the link below to find out more and join. See you there!